Welcome to Main Street Minds with your host, Amish Munshi. This is where industry leaders and seasoned pros share their secrets to success beyond limits. Let's dive in.
Hello and welcome to Main Street Minds. Today we have a very special guest, Debbie Wildrick, all the way from Naples, Florida. We are very, very privileged to have you on our show today. We are excited to learn with all the experience that you have and the number of businesses that you have worked with. Like the most important thing about somebody being successful, either at an individual level or as a company, is the brand, right? Like, what does a person stand for? And it just goes so deep into understanding yourself and what you do to create the brand. It's just amazing how much the personality of a person can feel like to the viewers, and what they end up achieving just by having the correct clarity in mind. So really excited to learn a lot about brands and the strategies that you have implemented and seen successful with everyone else. So without any further delay, I'll open up the floor. Debbie, can you introduce yourself and share your little secrets?
Share my secrets. All right. Well, we don't have enough time for all my secrets, but
Yeah.
I certainly will highlight some of the greater ones. I've had a storied career, if you will, and a lot of things that led to my early career. A lot of the things that have led today are coming much from my early career. So, when I was first in the food and beverage business, I went to work for what we call today sales agencies, but food broker, who represents all kinds of major brands across the grocery store, or the convenience store, the retailer, and of course they were big brands at the time, but I have always managed to be in an entrepreneurial role, whether or not it was with a big company or a small company. And um, it it really starts with, in this industry, it really starts with being on the street, if you will. And so my first role in sales was to call on Kroger stores in the Dallas Fort Worth market and do merchandising at the shelf, and then sell displays of products at the end of that. Maybe I would have to sell changing the position of a particular product that I represented, because the shelf space was not appropriate to what they deserved, or any number of things. And I believe that to be effective, it really starts there. But the entrepreneur first getting into this business is very green in many instances. They've come up with a great idea, but they're they they've come up with that idea maybe because they are missing uh, or can't find a product like that on the market. So, but they have no idea as to whether or not there are other consumers that need the product, and or how to message it, or how to get it into distribution and get it to the shelf so that consumers can find their product, and any number of things. And so when I was early in my career, I actually built. I was on the team that built a brand called Sundance Juice Sparklers, and we built it to $100 million brand in a couple of years. And we were the new age beverage, really the first new age beverage, 70% juice, 30% sparkling water. And then I went to work for Tropicana, and I was on the team that actually introduced single serve juice into convenience stores across the country, which they didn't have. And found myself later at 7-Eleven and running beverages. And so I then transitioned to the retailer side, and understanding that I had to make decisions that would drive products off the shelf presented to our stores so that they could drive products off the shelf and get them into consumers' mouths over and over again. And that's what's really important about this business. And it seems really simple, but it's not. It's not.
It, yeah, I would say I would just imagine it's extremely competitive, right? Person entering the store might be like, I want a Pepsi or I want a Coke, and then trying to sell them something that's slightly different is also pretty difficult. They might be even in a 7-Eleven store, they might be looking at for a Starbucks coffee or something, right? Like, how easy is it to like stand out from that uh like from that initial intent, like if a person is there to like buy a product that they really wanted to buy versus something else that might be much better, like how do you how like as a from the marketing perspective, how do you position the product?
Yeah, so we call and I'll use I like to use the convenience store business and 7-Eleven in particular as an example.
Yeah.
We call the category of beverages destination. And the reason that we call it a destination category is because I already know before I step foot in the store that I want a beverage. And I
Yeah.
may, like you just referenced, I may even already know that I want a Coke or a Pepsi. I know exactly what I want. And even if I don't know exactly what I want when I walk into that store, I'm only taking about 30 seconds to make that decision. So you
Yeah.
can imagine standing out is very, very important. And some of the first steps is understanding who your one of the main steps is understanding who your competition is. And then being able to accomplish who you are
Yeah.
um, on the front of the package. And that's, you don't have a whole lot of real estate. And so things like differentiated ingredients that you can talk to, that you can, in a few words, tell the consumer what's in it for them,
Mm-hmm.
what's the benefit, that that you can get your product placed
Mm-hmm.
where their decision making points are. If you
Mm-hmm.
come out with a um a better for you sparkling cola,
Yeah.
you've got to be able to speak to the retailer with product placement, and you want that person who's gone in there to get a Coca-Cola to be able to find your product and see it in a likely position. And so packaging, design, communication, but not over communicating. Because if the consumer sees too much, if they, we think we need to tell them everything, in today's world, a better for you brand, which is really common, much more than traditional brands. That's what's really been coming out for the last 10 to 15 years. And, I've seen brands put gluten-free, vegan, non-GMO, on and on. I've seen brands put up to 7 or 8 different certifications on there because they think that the consumer will, there's a consumer for this and a consumer for that. And I just want to make sure that I talk to all the consumers. Well, the consumer, if they get too much, they ignore it versus picking it up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's very critical to start with understanding your competition and your market opportunity, and then being able to communicate it effectively, position it effectively, and even promote it effectively as well, so that you're introducing it to the consumer in a way that they are receiving a discount. So that's a call out to them.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So, how does the experience from kind of the convenience store and beverage, how does how are you able to like translate that into like general consumer, like an individual, right? Like from a business to an individual, like the focus being on a brand, like how does the skill set that you have from uh, like working as a company, as a large company,
Hmm.
go translate into working with some individuals? Like how are you able to like manage both?
Well, I went from 7-Eleven. I went to work for my first startup company, and I had been following this even before it was a brand. I was invited up to Harvard uh, to to review this product that was not even a brand yet. It was not even
Mm-hmm.
to the shelf. And the name of the brand was called FRS Healthy Energy, and we actually introduced it in California and all along
Mm-hmm.
the West Coast. And it was quercetin based, so it was a functional energy drink that actually had lots and lots of antioxidants in it. And so I went over there as the VP of sales, but early stage startup. So you're doing all the things that a new brand, an individual owner has to
Yeah.
do in the beginning in order to start to launch this
Mm-hmm.
brand. By the time that I went to work for them, they had become a brand. They had hired a CEO, and I worked for them for about a year and a half, and then actually went to work for a source water company out of Brazil that was headquartered here in Naples. I was in Naples before. I've been here this time around, and did that, and then went to work for a company named Bozzi, which was a all natural energy shot out in Denver, and I eventually became the CEO. And we were all small companies, but when you rise from from sales and marketing to the CEO or president level, then you begin touching all the verticals. And so we reformulated that. We changed our packaging, we changed our marketing. We ran out of money. And
Mm-hmm.
and all those things are in my 10 pillars to a successful company. All 10 are critical to your success. So I transfer that into working in individuals, and I was a co-founder of I I left there. We actually had to we were out of money, and we sold it to an investor who actually gave us the money to build a new brand out of it. And I I did that for them, and then I built a brand totally from scratch, which was not the first time that I had done that. I did that several times at 7-Eleven.
Mm-hmm.
We were challenged with building our own brands. And so I I built that. It was called Aqua Ball. It was a round ball kids beverage. And I decided that I was okay, it's time to go into my own consulting business and
Mm-hmm.
really be able to to get, work with the entrepreneur and help them get to market. And so right away after I opened up my consulting business, a good friend of mine in the industry called me up and said, how'd you like to work with me and become the co-founder of a group called Metabrand? And back in 2012, we actually built a consulting firm out in New Jersey. I was traveling back and forth between Denver and New Jersey, and we helped along those years hundreds of brands, from everything from formulation to
Mm-hmm.
manufacturing to branding to business strategy, business plans, raising money, and did that. We founded a brand out of those years, and I went later on eventually to work for them full time as the SVP of global sales, which was a CBD company called Hemp Fusion, and so it's that mix of all the work that I've done, whether it has been with a big company or in the consulting business, working with individuals, and I have tons. We had tons during that time, but I just looked at my email a little while ago, and I had a referral come through, and he's got a brand new tea brand that he wants to launch, and he's laid out all the criteria and certainly wants to know if I want to be involved in it. And
Nice.
yeah,
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 that's always the exciting part. Like,
yeah.
so, as how important is it for an individual to have a brand in today's world?
To well, yeah, you mean a brand, a personal
For
brand?
yeah, like even if it's for getting a job, it might be for like something that a person is doing as a hobby. Like, how important is a brand?
It's extremely important. It's extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all kinds of books that have been written about your personal brand. And there's all kinds of people today doing things like podcasts and videos and trying to build their brands, because your brand is what defines you. It actually communicates to your client base who you are and what you value and your vision, and if you spend the time to focus on your personal brand, then I think the success of what you're doing, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is, whether it's a hobby like you said, whether it's building brands and doing things like I do, or certainly it's life coaching.
Yeah.
It's still important to build a brand. Looking for a job, like you mentioned it, I think that in today's world, and this is what we talked about this morning when I recorded the one that I did. It's um, there's two different paths that many people take, and it's either entrepreneurship or it's corporate world, and still, like 50 years ago, our parents went to work for the same company, and they worked for the same company throughout their career, and that's still happening to some degree now. And what happens is, if I've been with the same company for many, many years, maybe I don't even like my job, maybe I do like my job, but I get laid off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do. I don't know
Yeah.
what to do.
Yeah. The longer somebody has worked in the same job, it's a lot more difficult to make the transition and start something new.
Right. And what we talked about today was that you have to look in the you have to look in the mirror, and you have to really study yourself and discover who you are, what your skills are. And there's all kinds of surveys and things that you can do outside of looking in the mirror, but you
Yeah.
we need to find ourselves first, and then establish where we want to go with that.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So, tell us a little bit about what does a consulting engagement for brands look like? What is it a one-time discussion? Is it an ongoing process? How does one get started? And uh, like, at what stage should somebody be approaching you saying, "Hey, I want to do something and fix my life," almost, right? Like, it's like I have a name, but what's the use of my name? I need to do something with it.
Yeah. Well, you can approach me at any stage, at the beginning or certainly through midstream. I have people approach me at all different levels. If you're right at the beginning, then I'm going to take you through the 10 pillars. And the 10 pillars are going to help you first define whether or not your product idea is the right idea, the right timing, the market opportunity is there for you, and the
Mm-hmm.
consumer need is there for you. And um, and I work a couple different ways. Certainly, I will work on a project where I can actually do a roadmap for you, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll do a one-time strategy session, and I'll build your entire roadmap for you,
Mm-hmm.
like a business plan. If you're
Mm-hmm.
raising money, then it will work for you there. And certainly in that building of that, you do get the benefit of my consulting, even though it's a project, because I'm asking you all kinds of questions. I'm helping you define what content gets in there, how much your cost of goods is going to be, whether or not you've got a viable business model, all those things. So you're getting my coaching. But the other one, and I do this more often probably than I do the project based, which is a monthly consulting, and it can be
Mm-hmm.
minimal. It can be more grand than just my minimal, which is what you're getting with that is you're getting a critical path. We start out with a critical path, what needs to be done. And then we work together and I coach you through each step of the way with weekly conference calls. And then we just move through it. And you're doing all the work, but I'm coaching you through it. I'm supplying you templates and things, helping
Mm-hmm.
guide you. Like, I happen to be really good at writing retailer presentations so that
Mm-hmm.
you know what to put in them to accomplish the sale. And so I'm providing that kind of template coaching, and you're getting that. And I usually do those for a 6 month engagement for with the option of then moving forward for the next 6 months at
Good.
the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
those are the two types. And then the program that I'm working on, that I will launch around the 1st of August with the first module, and I'll launch all 10 modules over a, a 4 to 5 month time
mm-hmm.
frame. And I will be charging a flat rate that you'll just go through my course and you'll learn everything that you need to learn.
Yeah.
And if you choose then to still want to consult with me, then certainly that's an available option. But that course is going to be really neat for those that want a comprehensive way of learning how to do this business.
Yeah, that's amazing. Just I want to dive a little deeper in that course, but one quick question before that. Is the 10 pillars, is that kind of similar to the course, or is that something different?
Is the
The
what? I'm
10
sorry.
the 10 pillars that you mentioned
Oh,
earlier,
yeah,
is
no,
that
it's not.
related?
It's absolutely related. So the ten pillars to a successful company,
Mm-hmm.
each one of the modules is one of the 10 pillars. So
Okay.
um and I also am working on a book as well that's a little bit more lighthearted, but it's all focused on the 10 pillars. I talk about the 10 pillars as if they're, for lack of a better word, the Bible of consumer packaged goods. And it's
Yeah.
it's really so everything that I do, even posting and talking to entrepreneurs about what they need when I'm interviewing them
Mm-hmm.
to find out what stage they're in, you'll find me referencing questions based on those pillars and how they're accomplishing each one of them.
Nice, nice. Sorry, cut that part out a little bit. Sorry. Uh, yeah. So, uh, how far, like, let's say somebody is already in business, has a phrase identified that for their business, right? Like, it may not, I wouldn't call it a brand still, because Brand is only when like enough people are relate to it, right?
Hmm.
How long does it take to get to, let's say, a stage one where people recognize it?
A long time.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
long time. Building brands are not easy even for the big companies, you know. It's um it's it's a lot of, and certainly the more money you have, the grander you can do it. But it's in today's marketplace, finding that emotional link to
mm-hmm.
your brand, and that's usually something about the product, you know, and what it means to me, what's in it for me. Finding that emotional link and being able to build your distribution and build your you know, your marketing is going to get you further along faster. A lot, you know, just build the brand and put it on the shelf as an example, and that takes a very long time, but you see it happen. You know, a drink called Poppy just got sold to Pepsi, you know.
Mm-hmm.
um there's all kinds of stories about that, but you know, it could be there's a brand called Vitamin Water, you're probably familiar with. It's been around for a long time. They launched in 2002. They came to me at 7-Eleven. As a matter of fact, in I can't remember what year it was, but it took them 8 years and raising money to build the brand to profitability.
Mm-hmm.
So in year number 9, they sold it to Coca-Cola for $4.1 billion when it was had sales of about 600 million. And the other thing about that example, just like 5 Hour Energy is a great example too, because it reached $1 billion brand. You notice those two brands, one thing about them is the name of the brand is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. It's
So
exactly like uh it's the outcome, right? Like it's what is it solving?
yes,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And so, you know, it can be easier to build brands based on your effective ability
Mm-hmm.
to have a, I say the brand name being almost a call to action. It
Yeah,
tells you
yeah.
exact. So, you know, those are just some examples, but yeah, it can take years to build a brand.
Yeah, and like just speaking about that, like how easy is it to use a generic, not I would call it generic, but something that people can relate with, like a 5 hour energy drink. Like I mean, I don't know the exact name. I think it's 5 hour something, right? I don't know the exact name, but how easy is it to get a copyright or a trademark on that, and not having to deal, not having to lose the name? Like, is it easy to get something like a copyright or a trademark if it's a little generic?
No, no, trademark. And this is the other thing, that those two examples which were launched, I mean, 5 Hour Energy Shot was the first energy shot ever to come on the market.
Mm-hmm.
Vitamin Water was very early with their idea too. So you're the only one on the market. So when you're going through naming, but I even did this with 7-Eleven, because back in the day when I was creating products, we had to create, they did not want 7-Eleven on the package like a private label, you know. They, or a store brand, what we call store brand, they wanted you to create every product that you created, which I created a new product in almost every category. They wanted you to develop the name
Mm-hmm.
and create the name. And you can imagine, I was doing a Valencia orange juice one time,
Hmm.
and I went through 5 names. I had before I finally got to one that was just okay, but I had to go with it, you know, I had to go with it. And the CEO comes, I invite him down to this innovation session that I had, and he says, I like your orange juice idea, but I hate the name. And it's like, yeah, well, Jim, I really didn't have much of a choice. I went through five. I was working with a ginger water a couple years back, and we went through five or six names before we got one that we could use, that we liked, that we felt like was good for the brand, and then we're able to trademark it. So it can
Yeah.
be, and you have to be able to prove that your name. Now, you talked about the generic aspect, if you will.
Yeah.
Sometimes one way to get a trademark is to take a very common word and misspell it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Like
yeah,
Fiverr and like I think IT companies do a pretty good job with that.
yeah, yeah. And that's one way to do it. So, but it still can be hard, and you have to, when you apply, let's say that you're, um, you know, and I've talked a lot about beverages, but I've got experience all across food and beverages and even supplements, and it's similar across the board. But when you apply for a name, the actual name of your brand,
Hmm.
you're applying based on your category too. So
Yeah.
somebody else may have a
Yeah.
a name, the same name or something similar, but it's in a completely different category. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
may or may not get it approved, and you may or may not have them come after you, depending on who it is. But in those instances, you're juggling the percentage of risk that you want to take.
Yeah, makes sense. So yeah, I think if somebody is interested, they can actually reach out to you. You are open to welcoming somebody and helping out others to build their brands and engage, work with you in a consulting manner where they can kind of build their own brands while working with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And um, I can be reached at my website. On the top of my website is my phone number and my email address, and that's debbiewildrick.com. And then I also, to just get a little, the 10 pillars of a successful company are on that website, of course. And so you get a little bit more, you get a lot of information about my experience and what I learned along the way that has led me to be able to guide in this. But
Hmm.
also, I have, if you go to free.debbiewildrick.com, I've
Hmm.
taken pillar number one, which is market opportunity and consumer need. And that's a landing page where if you go to that landing page, then you can download a free document that's like a white paper on the
Sweet.
overview of that first pillar. So,
Yeah, I'll definitely go out and grab that today, just to get started, just to get a head start before we do the actual course in August.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, most
S-
definitely.
Yeah, so this is great. So, before, as we come closer to the end of this episode, is there anything else that you would love to share with the audience?
I think that I think that what you want to really I, s- I use the term mitigate risk
Mm-hmm.
versus learning how to be successful. Mitigating risk, because one of the hardest things about this this business, and certainly lacking experience in certain areas, like you may have a lot of experience in pillar number five, as an example, which is sales and
Mm-hmm.
distribution, um, but you don't have any experience in formulation or branding, and so what you're if you think about this business and you think about me in particular, and hiring somebody who has an expertise and has had this experience, it's is as much about mitigating risk as anything. So
Hmm.
minimizing the chance for failure, because 8 out of 10 new products fail every year.
Oh yeah, I think and for multiple reasons, right? Like there's just so much that has to go well for us for something to be successful, uh, and by hiring and like working with the experts, you ensure success. Like I think the biggest lessons that I have learned myself is we have to work with somebody that knows what they're doing. Like expecting to hire somebody and train them on what you think is the right thing to do doesn't work. The person
Hmm.
that's coming into the organization should be bringing skill set and should be diverse and varied and bringing something that we don't have right now in our organization, and that adds a lot of
Absolutely.
value.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah. And, I can give you tons and tons of successful brand stories that did have entrepreneurs that started right out of college, even with without the experience that they needed to do it. But the bottom line is, um, like I said earlier, you start out at the street. You in order to know this industry and know it well, you have to understand what happens at the shelf. And
yeah,
y- and one of the ways to really do that is to be in this industry all your life, and to start out, working in grocery stores, merchandising your products and so forth. So
yeah. And it's if we can succeed at retail, I think most other industries are a lot more simpler to work with. Retail is one of the most difficult industries to be in. So if we can pick up all the secrets on how to do that, and we can apply this to almost any aspects of life, any aspects of any other industry, and any other verticals as well.
yeah, and it's I like to say, we've been doing the things in this industry the same way for years and years and years. And I've been saying this for about 5 years. If I could really figure out how to change the way that we do business, then I think we've got an even greater opportunity to succeed. But retailers are old school, and even across retailers, you've got major retailers that have completely different strategies with the consumer. So you even have to understand that. You have to
Yeah,
understand where you should best go. Um,
yeah.
and how does online really fit into this? Because it's certainly much greater today, but I still think a majority of the consumers are into the experiential aspect of going in and touching product.
Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking about while you just mentioned that, I was thinking of a new innovation. Sorry, coming from tech world, I always think of something
Mhm.
new to do, right? And just as you mentioned, I was wondering, like, if I'm in a grocery store, I'm picking up lemonade, but if instead of the lemonade bottle being there, there was a screen that shows me the same lemonade bottle, and I select it. It just dispenses it like a vending machine. But immediately, if it tells me, why would you also like to buy mint? Because it's going to go really well with this.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, just fresh mint in a ready to you drink lemonade would be like really cool.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother aspect of selling, because we have this thing called upselling, or we
Yeah,
have partnering different items together to
yeah,
promote it to the consumer. There's all kinds of ways, but yeah,
yeah.
you added another element that is all part of it.
Yeah, and it would be even more fun, like the way the casinos make people like walk around everywhere. Like the grocery store will be like, "Oh yeah, mint is gonna go well with this. If you want it, it's on aisle 11 over there." And next thing we know, the buyer is just walking everywhere in the store, like buying more things than what he really wanted.
Exactly. There's a great there's my very favorite grocery store ever, and I've lived in different places. It's in it's headquartered out of San Antonio, but it's a part of a big regional chain called HEB, and it's called Central Market.
Hmm.
And what they do is they actually, it sometimes will drive you crazy, but if you're really going in there for your shopping experience, it they take you through a maze through the entire produce department so that your cart goes, down this way and then down this way and then down this way, and it rolls into the meat department in the back of the store. Now, let's say that you just came in for something, let's say you just came in for mustard. Well,
Yeah.
you really have to go through the produce section. And if you know where it is, there's a little door right about halfway
Yeah.
through the produce section that you can zip through the other side of the store.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there is still so much innovation left, right? In retail. Like all the online tools, if we can bring some of that into the retail in-person experience, I think that might be, hopefully that's something new that's going to happen in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sounds great. So this was extremely enlightening for me and everyone in the audience. Thanks for sharing very valuable insights into everything that you're doing, and at the same time working with like helping more people to be able to like work with you with coaching and with the mentoring and with the self-guided training modules as well. So thanks for doing that.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on the podcast.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, and looking forward to working with you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Main Street Minds. Want to share your journey with our audience? Head over to mainstreetmindspodcast.com/guest to apply.